All right, now we're going to look at some general tags that have to deal with working with archive pages and listing out archives. These archive tags include single post title, which can be used outside of the loop to display a post title on a page, post type archive title, which will work with custom post types, single cat title and single tag title, which work with categories and tags, and then single term title. Now I'll pause here and say that we're actually going to begin looking at some source code within WordPress to understand how some of these tags, particularly single term title and some of these others, work together. We also have single month title for working on date archive pages, and then a different set of archive tags like get archives link and WP get archives, which are used more for listing out of archives. Now, when we look at these last two, get archives link and WP get archives, we'll also talk about why looking at WordPress source code, the core WordPress code, can help you understand what is going on behind a template tag and actually if it's the right one or appropriate to use. So let's break these up and go into a little depth looking at each one or some of the various types of them. Okay, so coming back to our full list of template tags down inside of the general tags, we could see a set of them, and I know I'm skipping over some, we'll come back to those in miscellaneous, but really I just want to point out this group here that we'll work with in terms of working with archives. And the first one is single post title. If we come over and look at this, just take a moment to take a look at what this is saying and see if you could understand it. So what this is the name of the function. It's taking a string for a prefix, so this is going to be anything that we want to appear before the post title, and then the common boolean display true or false, whether we want it to echo out to the page or save it as a variable, and we can see the parameters listed down below. Now what it doesn't really say here is that this could be helpful for displaying the post title outside of the loop when the title won't always work. So let's just take a look at this real quick in a template to show you what I mean. So let's just come into our core index.php file and notice that we have the loop here and then we're calling the title. Well, when you want to call the title for a page outside of the loop, it is possible, but it's recommended to do it a little bit differently. And I'll just demo here. We could say post, and then we'll do our single post title. And post should not be displayed hard-coded before. That's perfect. We will pull this out and put that in as a prefix, just to distinguish it from anything else on the page. To demo, we don't have to pass the second parameter because it is optional. So let's just take a look at what this is doing. Okay, so I'm on a page on my site and notice that it's saying post sample page. Because this is an index, it's working for everything. So if I came into the blog, it would say this is blog post. So post is probably not the right word to say there, but you could see that we are getting the title of wherever we are outside of the loop. So that's just that. It's not necessarily always on an archive page. You might want to use the title on a single page or something like that, but that is what that is useful for. Okay, so coming back to our list here, next up is post type archive title, and I'm not really going to demo this one. I'll pop it open and just say that this is what can be helpful if you are displaying the title of a custom post type archive page. So we actually talked a little bit about this in the last section on template hierarchy, and you could go back and check that again and play around with this on your own. I'm not going to demo it here. We don't really have time to demo every single template function, but I do just want to kind of walk through at least all of them with you. Now, the next couple we are going to talk about, which are single cat title, tag title, and term title. And as you could probably guess, and we actually have used these before, this is going to display the category title on an archive page. Now, specifically, this would be for a category.php page, which controls the category archives. And so I'm just going to create one of these as well as a tag.php to show you some things about these two. So I'm going to come back into my code here. I'll delete what I had here before. And I'm just going to save my index.php as a category.php. And up at the top, I'm going to do something similar. I'll say h1 and then single cat title. And we'll say that this is category. Remember, it takes a prefix and we don't have to put anything after it. We do need our semicolon. Boost this up a little bit. And so what this should do is we now have a category.php template. So we should be able to click on any category archive link and it should show this at the top. So let's check it out. So coming over to my site, I just have these already set up in the sidebar, and boom, check it out. Category alignment, that's perfect. And if we came into a tags page, notice it doesn't do anything because we don't have anything set up for a generic tags.php template. So this is perfect and just what we were looking for and does exactly what you would expect. Except this is interesting. If you were to change single cat title, and notice that we're still inside of the category.php template to tag title, and come and view it, notice that it still works. So this is something curious, and this is where I want to point out how looking at some source code in WordPress can actually help you understand what's going on here. So if we come back to our code reference and look at single cat title again and scroll down to a part we haven't really looked at before, which is the source code, which is the actual code in WordPress core that runs this function. Now, what you could see here is that we're calling single cat title and it's just calling single term title and returning that. So it's taking our exact parameters and passing it to this other function and returning it. And actually, if we were to come back to our list and look at single tag title, we would see that it is doing the exact same thing. It's calling single term title. Now, if we come back one more time and we look at single term title and we come down and expand this, we could see that it's actually doing a lot here. But notice that it has conditional statements. If it's a category, go ahead and do the following. If it's a tag, if it's a taxonomy. So this one function is being called by a bunch of other ones, which means that the single tag and cat title are just helper functions that allow us to more easily get what it is that we would want with a naming convention we expect. However, from looking at this, you could find that you could use single term title in all of those scenarios and it should still work. Likewise, swapping these out with each other, while not semantically correct, it would actually work. So you could take with that what you want. You could continue to use cat and tag independently in category and tag.php templates, or you could just use the single term title, which they're both calling now that you know how this works. Now let's look at one last one, which is single month title. And I want to point out that, again, we're looking at the source code helps, is that if we were to come down here, we would see, okay, this is doing something different. This is not just calling single term title. This is running a whole bunch of date stuff, processing the year, the month, all of that, and returning something different. So you would not want to use this interchangeably, and this is going to help, as it says, on a post archive based on date. So that is looking at all of the kind of archive title and page title related ones, single month through single post title. You could go ahead and play around with those or look at those a little bit more. But now I want to switch gears and talk about these other two, which deal with linking to archive pages and creating links like that.